Welcome to this explainer. Okay, I want you to picture a scene that you probably know absolutely by heart. Imagine turning on your TV, you see that iconic Central Perk coffee shop, the door suddenly bursts open and in rushes a drenched runaway bride in this massive wedding dress. The entrance is exactly the same, the lines are exactly the same. But the face? It isn't Jennifer Aniston. It's an entirely different actor. It feels kind of jarring, right? Honestly, it's almost impossible to picture. So let's dive into this massive what-if scenario together. What if someone else actually played Rachel Green? Would the show still have become one of the most defining sitcoms in television history? Or did this one single casting choice change absolutely everything? Today, we're going to explore this totally fascinating paradox and figure out if the character was just destined to be a massive hit regardless, or if the real magic we know was entirely dependent on the person who stepped into those shoes. Section 1. The alternate reality. Back in the early 1990s, when they were casting, nothing was guaranteed. The creators were on this incredibly high-stakes search to find 6 actors who could pull off totally believable, natural chemistry as a group of friends. And Rachel's timeline? It was a really demanding one. She comes in as this inexperienced, heavily spoiled runaway bride who is utterly unprepared for the real world. Then, over the middle seasons, she has to navigate this incredibly complicated central romance. And by season 10, she completely transforms into a fiercely independent fashion executive. Tracing that 10-season journey, that massive growth, is really the emotional foundation of the whole series. It's a huge lift for any performer. Which brings us to a central paradox. Was Rachel successful simply because the writing was so good, or was there something entirely unique about Jennifer Aniston that made the character work so well? You know, it's the classic television debate, script versus actor, and in this case, the lines are incredibly blurred. Section 2. Writing versus performance. Let's look at how a performer's innate qualities can completely elevate a script. Look at Rachel on paper. As written, she's actually pretty selfish, definitely spoiled, and she makes these highly frustrating mistakes that could easily alienate an audience. But Aniston brought this incredible, natural warmth to the role. Actually, it's more like she naturally balanced out those selfish traits, ensuring that we rarely ever stopped rooting for her. When she failed, we felt for her. When she succeeded, we celebrated. And that relatability, that was a performance choice, not just a stage direction. Now, suppose another super talented actor had been cast and the scripts didn't change one bit. Just think about how small performance choices from a different actor could completely transform the tone of the character. An alternate Rachel might have leaned into being way more glamorous and sophisticated, sure, but maybe far less approachable. Or maybe she would have been sharper, delivering lines with a real sarcastic bite, less natural vulnerability. Television history is full of characters whose entire vibe was radically altered just by an actor's innate demeanor. And I think this brilliantly illustrates that a character isn't just words printed on a page. It's like a giant puzzle. You've got writing, performance, timing, body language, facial expressions, chemistry. It's a very complex recipe. You change just one of those ingredients, like say the specific facial expressions or the comedic timing, and the final result changes entirely. You might still get a very funny character for sure, but you definitely wouldn't get the Rachel Green we know. Section 3. The romance metric. Now, we obviously can't talk about Rachel without talking about Ross. Romantic chemistry is something that simply cannot be engineered in a writer's room. It can't be measured, and it certainly can't be guaranteed. It is literally the great wild card of television. You can have 2 highly talented, award-winning actors perform the exact same scene and yet create a completely different emotional reaction for the audience. The spark is either there or it isn't. So if we had an alternate actor in the role, the dynamic between Ross and Rachel might have been way less believable. Maybe it would have been strictly comedic, or hey, maybe it would have been even stronger. We just don't know. But with the actual romance, millions of fans all over the globe became so deeply invested in this endless cycle of heartbreak and reconciliation. That specific flavor of tension was born directly from the chemistry between those 2 specific actors. We will simply never know what the alternate timeline looks like, but it definitely wouldn't be the same. Section 4. The ensemble ecosystem. But hey, Rachel's story isn't just about romantic love, right? Her vital friendships with Monica and Phoebe are just as important. Think back to the shopping trips, the really deep life advice, the unwavering emotional support, and, of course, the hilarious misunderstandings. These moments worked entirely because the cast developed this totally natural, effortless rhythm together. Watching them, you genuinely believed they had known each other for years, maybe even decades. To put that into perspective, so many successful shows spend years trying to find this exact group dynamic, and they never ever do. It is incredibly rare. If you insert a different actor into Rachel's role, the entire group dynamic unavoidably shifts. The precise comedic timing of the trio, the way they bounced off each other's energy, all of that would have completely morphed into something else. Moving to Section 5, the perfect storm. Let's pull all these points together. When you synthesize the writing, the romance, and the friendship, it turns the character into an absolute cultural icon. Just consider her massive cultural footprint. The 90s fashion trends, the endlessly repeated quotes, the storylines that fans are still actively debating decades later. I mean, the hairstyles literally inspired haircut that spread like wildfire across the globe. Rachel became far, far more than just a standard sitcom character. She became a pillar of pop culture. So, how does that happen? Well, it happens through what we call television magic. It's this incredibly rare, completely unpredictable alignment of timing, writing, audience connection, and performance. Take away any one piece of this puzzle, change the year it aired, swap out one writer, or change the performer, and the outcome becomes a total mystery. That's the very heart of this what-if scenario. By the time the show became a massive global phenomenon, the actor and the character had merged into this completely symbiotic legacy. For Jennifer Aniston, playing Rachel Green indisputably helped define her incredible career. But for Rachel Green, the actor helped define who the character fundamentally was. In the minds of viewers all over the world, they became completely inseparable, creating something together that still resonates today.
Which brings us right back to our big what if. If another really talented actor had been cast, the show probably still would have been funny. It probably still would have had great, memorable stories and solid ratings. But would it have become the exact cultural phenomenon we know today? I mean, the biggest successes in television aren't just about having a great script or a capable actor. They are about that super rare, lightning-in-a-bottle moment when everything just magically comes together perfectly.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final, slightly provocative thought. Think about the complicated, magical alchemy of television history we've just mapped out. If Rachel Green had been played by someone else, would the show still actually feel like the show we know and love? The answer is a whole lot more complicated than it seems. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive. Keep questioning the magic, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.